The target structures for this lecture are relative clauses with who and that. Relative clauses sounds very confusing and complex, but actually quite simple and very, very good for improving your English. Let's have a look at the relative clauses. Here are the examples. The boy who broke his arm went to the hospital. The jacket that we found belongs to John. The words in bold are relative clauses. They give information about the person or thing. We use who for people and that for things. So relative clauses using who and that give some extra information about a person or thing. Usually the information is very important to identify the person or thing that you're talking about. Here's an example. If I simply say, the train leaves in 30 minutes. Which train am I talking about? How do I identify the train? Imagine there are 10 trains. The train leaves in 30 minutes. Which train am I talking about? Now I can use a relative clause to identify the train. I can say, the train that goes to the theme park leaves in 30 minutes. Now I've identified what train I'm talking about. So this is what a relative clause is. It identifies the person or thing that you're talking about to make the meaning much clearer. So now let's move on to the structure for the relative clauses. Here's the structure for the who relative clause. We use a person plus who relative clause. For example, the woman who we saw today looked very strange. This is a who relative clause. If I simply said, the woman looked very strange, people wouldn't know what woman I was talking about. So the who relative clause identifies which woman I'm talking about. Here's the structure for that relative clauses. We use a thing plus that relative clause. For example, the red Ferrari that we saw today was beautiful. So the red Ferrari is the thing, and the relative clause is that we saw today. So I'm identifying which red Ferrari I'm talking about. So that is relative clauses using who and that. Move on to the next lecture, the things to note. And of course, as always, make sure you complete the listening and practicing exercises. See you in the next lecture.